Hi, my name is James Hawken, and I'm a piano player. In my recent podcast, I've explained about my relationship with music and with the piano in particular, and the reasons why I play the piano and why it's a sort of a necessity for my life. But I'm gone over like the autistic and ADHD sort of diagnosis and how that relates to how I live my life and how I work with music and work with the piano. It sort of led to all sorts of problems, addiction and things like that, for instance, which I'll probably go into in another podcast, maybe, if I feel as though I want to let out some personal details. But today, if I may be indulged, I'd like just to go over my musical career history. Career I use in very inverted commas. It's been a side hustle for most of my life. I'll just go through the history and some of the bands I've worked with and the characters and all the rest of it. I mean, it might be of interest. You may, see something in your own lives that is quite similar and be able to relate to it. But yeah, I mean, I'm in 60, so I've had a fair old time at it. I first started at age of 14. As my first professional gig at 14. How did that happen? Right, okay, fair enough. Area I was born around the Snorster area in Cornwall. There was quite a wealthy businessman, and he wanted to be Elvis, basically, all right, which is great. And he wanted to put together a band so he could front it and do all the rock and roll stuff. And he got together a few of us youngsters who were sort of, it wasn't sort of like talent spotting, but, we were sort of making a bit of a noise as being youngsters who could play instruments. Me, obviously, the piano. And that was great for me because that's how I cut my teeth, is playing the old rock and roll standards. When I finished playing classical and learning classical music, what I was looking at was the Little Richards and the Jerry Lee Lewises and all these guys, and that's what I started to learn how to play like them. So for somebody who wanted somebody who could play the rock and roll standards, that I fit us right in. I knew every song. I knew it, and another thing that, as an aside, informs my self-tuition, if you like, was the Beatles Complete. Now, I don't know if you know that book, but it's a book of all the Beatles, most of the Beatles songs, and all the chords and all the music score and everything else and the words, and that was my Bible. I mean, I played it every day. And I knew every Beatles song off by heart as well. Anyway, as well as the old rock and roll stuff. So, anyway, this guy put some money into it. Bought me my first electric piano. I'm a dire. I think it was a Hohner something, but sounded awful. Fitted us out in drain pipe trousers, bootlace tie, and greased hair back and all that. And we went out as a band called Grand Prix, played the pubs and clubs, and I earned a £5 a night doing that. Bearing in mind, at 14, I was given 50p pocket money per week. I could go out on a Saturday night and earn a £5. I was rich. That was like amazing. It's my little first taste of, if you practice hard enough, you do something hard well enough, you put some time into it, you can go out and make a difference somewhere and earn a shilling or two. But that was great. There was Marcus Worry on drums, Paul Cundy on bass, and we had this old guy as a sax player. He was great. The tone of his sax was fantastic. Anyway, we did that, and I remember once a little funny story. The guy was fronting the band, the manager, Elvis man, got a bit carried away one gig, and he says somebody called out something that they wanted us to do from the audience, and I didn't have a clue what this song was. Anyway, he was adamant we were going to do it. Take her away, Jim, and pointed to me, and I was like, I ain't got a flipping clue. And then there was this whole massive audience waiting for me to start to play this song. and I just had no idea. Nothing at all came out. What did I do? I just jammed around, started making a noise, doing something. Anyway, it was a disaster. But that's what we have. It's a bit funny. Anyway, so after that, there was a bit of a rest, and then I got involved with a load of guys from our local clay community, our clay villages. We formed a band called Density 1150. Now, why that name? Okay, is a Clayworks reference. So in the refining plants, the clay is in a solution. Is in the water. And it's a liquid. And the ideal density of this liquid, in order for it to be pressed and refined, is 1150. Density 1150. It was Clayworks reference. Okay, so we did two guys. Rob Best, brilliant chap. Keith Webber, brilliant chap. We're more into the jam stuff like that. More into the mod. Me and Pete Taylor, the drummer. We were rockers, hippies, whatever. And those two, that combination was fantastic because we both, that set of people brought influences to the band, and we come out with a sort of fairly unique style, I suppose. We did covers and everything else, and we were playing around the pubs and clubs also, and I think Pete actually was underage. But it didn't seem to matter back in those days. We went in and played wherever we could, and the law was pretty lax back in those days. And I remember one day I had just enough petrol to get to the gig, and that was it. But I kept a spare milk bottle and a little tube, and I could put this tube into a petrol tank off of a car, give it a suck, and I could siphon off some petrol. Naughty, I know, but this is what we had to do, or I had to do back in those days. And of course, petrol cats weren't locked or anything like that back in those days neither. So I had to secretly, surreptitiously, siphon this petrol off out of somebody's petrol tank in order to get home. Yeah, we had some great times. What I'm going to do is I've got some photographs of those days with Density 1150. I'm going to put them up. Also, I've got kindly Helen Best, Robert's wife, managed to get some audio of some of the tracks we did. Now we did like a demo. Andy down at Modern Music down in Toronto did a demo for us, a live take, and good old Helen managed to get some tracks for them to stick up. So I'm going to let you listen to some of that as well.
It's not like the city, it's not like the country. Somewhere in between. In between. In between.
Some good stuff. But it was thoroughly enjoyable. It was fantastic. It was like first real test of doing something on our own, or on me on in a band that we were our own boss type of thing, and working with other people, getting influences from each other and all the rest of it. Getting out in the pubs and clubs at that young age and really experiencing everything that can offer back in those days. It was all a bit rough and ready, a lot of drunken behaviour and all the rest of it, not by us, but by the audience. And it was a real good start for what was going to come. Anyway, we do that. So thanks, Helen. Brilliant. So after that, I sort of got into a group of bikers, fantastic blokes. I mean, the lifestyle was fantastic for me at that time. I mean, the lifestyle, as you can imagine, bikers back in the what would be late 70s, early 80s, perhaps, was exactly what I wanted. There was a lot of debauchery and a lot of experimentation with all sorts of things with life, a lot of parties, lots of things happening. And what I loved about these guys were the complete honesty of these guys. They were solid guys, and I don't know how to explain it really without sounding like patronising or anything, because they were different to what I've been used to. You know, about sixth form college and all the rest of it, doing A levels and thinking about going to university. And there was these guys that no pretense at all. They were like real, genuine people, and I thought this is fantastic, refreshing. And I really want to get to know these people and hang out and be part of that lifestyle. Although I was never a biker, and they sort of like let me into their gang, if you like, and it's brilliant. And Mumbo could play the guitar a bit. Pete Taylor, who was in that previous band, was also in sort of the gang and could play the drums. But Colin was picked up the bass guitar. Brilliant story with Colin. He had an industrial accident and was missing a finger on his fret hand, and his hand was mostly paralysed. Did that stop him? No way. Picked up the bass guitar and could play as good as any able-handed person. Innate ability. You know, the musicality was there with him, and the ability to handle an instrument and to use it was just there. It was amazing. Couldn't stop him. Brilliant, fantastic playing. It helped his hand tremendously as well. Jimmy Underwood never sang before and had this real great rough style, and it was the punk era basically. And although they were rockers and we were like rockers, the punk thing came in and we had our own unique sound, and we called it Runk, a combination of rock and punk. And I unfortunately haven't got any audio from there, and I think probably that was the only band I've been in where, if we were in the right place at the right, well, it was the right time, but if we were in the right place, that band could have actually done some real progress in making it, if you, whatever that means. But you know, because we had something special there, I reckon. We wrote our own stuff and did some AC/DC covers, and I wrote a song called Toesies Up the Noses, and which is we entered a competition and they said, yeah, great, fantastic, but not exactly what they're looking for anyway. We made a bit of a noise around Cornwall, had a good bit of biker following. And talking about the bikers, I just want to tell you this little story about Mumbo, Toby Banks, and the bikers didn't wear their patches, the colours. They decided that they were no longer going to wear colours, and we were in Cat Fiddle and Bobbin, which is like their local pub, the Bobbin Rockers pub, and having a drink. And Scorpio came in, which was a Northstowe biker gang, and the president of Scorpio at the moment was Des Hooper, and he came in and they were recruiting, really. They were looking to bolster the numbers. And I was sitting with Mumbo at the bar, and Des Hooper come up, and the conversation sort of went. Des says to Mumbo, he says, "You see that patch on my back? That means freedom." And Mumbo just turned around and he said, "You see that patch on my back? And you haven't got one." He goes, "That's freedom. Never forget it." Anyway, so then got into another band after I went to college, and it sort of all went petered out, really. And then I joined up with a band well, basically what it was is some friends of mine, muso friends, run Sloss area, had a gig in the General Wolf in Slossell, and the singer Jim was getting a bit fed up, and he was going to say, like, this is really my last gig. And he said, we got a mate who plays the keyboards, and he's going to come along to the gig and join in, and we'll have a jam and just do the gig. What could all do about it then? We all knew covers and everything. I mean, you could go into any band and you could play. And Jim says, hey, okay, we'll give it a go. And anyway, I played the gig at the General Wolf with the band, and Jim at the end said, if that keyboard player is staying, so am I. Anyway, I did, and we called the band then Alcohol. Okay, so that gives you an idea of where we were at the time. And we did just covers a couple of years, and again it was great. Keith Johnson, Charlie, 6'7", Canadian restaurateur, bass player, Mark Nicholas, very close friend of mine, or ours, and was the drummer, and he was only a little tacker. He was still at school, I think, and we had to sort of pick him up and take him to gigs and stuff, and yeah, we just had a blast. It's fantastic. But from there, the band, bands have a life period, where things happen and then things don't happen. When you've got 5 members, it's difficult to sort of get everybody together for rehearsals and stuff, and everybody share the same enthusiasm for a long period of time. So when the band was breaking up, me and Jim Ryan, the singer, decided that we'd try it as a duo. Back then, it was just technology was just coming through that you could make backing tracks at home. I had a little studio and little porter studio, and an Atari STE 500 kilobytes RAM. And blimey, I tell you what, when that went up to 1 megabyte RAM, it was like revolutionary. The things you could do with that little Atari. Anyway, it was, and I think it was Cakewalk, one of the very first. It's Steinberg's Cubase, very first one of them. Anyway, I was able to make backing tracks, and these backing tracks that I was making, I could put onto a little floppy disk, right? And I had a Roland D20, and it had a floppy disk. You could put it in there, and it would play back the MIDI files on the keyboard, all right, and so you had all the sounds and everything else, and you could like play back a backing track. But one floppy disk would contain about, I don't know, 3 or 4 songs probably, if that, and the loading time for each song was several seconds when you're waiting between songs, and then you had to change over the floppy disk, and I had like, I don't know, 15, 20 floppy disks, I suppose, and having to find them and stick them in. It was difficult, but somehow we got away with it. And I think it's because nobody had real backing tracks at the time. And we were making a decent noise, and we got a lot of work. And we were working 5-6 nights a week in the hotels and clubs at Newquay during the holiday season, and holding down day jobs. And I was working shifts, and quite often I would go from a gig, go straight to work. Starting work 4:30 in the morning. There was just no point in going to bed. We just carried on. And I remember one day I got home from a gig, and I had an hour before I had to sort of leave or get ready for work the sort of next day, and I actually went to bed. I sort of put my pajamas on and cleaned my teeth, went to bed for an hour, got up, went to work, and then gigged again in the evening. We did this all through summer for 3 or 4 years, and killed us, absolutely killed us. but we were earning flipping good money. It was at the time when Maggie Thatcher was in power, and interest rates on the mortgages went up to 15.9%, I think it was. People getting repossessed. Endowment mortgages where you only paid the flipping interest on the mortgage, and everything else was outstanding. It was ridiculous. But we got through because of those working that hard and earning really good money doing that. So it was a lifesaver at the time, although it killed us, absolutely killed us. And me and Jim are still going now. The James Brothers, we're still going. It's 35 years probably. Obviously, technology has changed. Things are a lot easier now. I can even do it on my watch. I've got an Apple Watch. I just punch in what I want, and then the backing track's played immediately. Obviously, the technology in the studio setup is a hell of a lot different now. I can make real good quality backing tracks. So 35 years doing James Brothers as a duo, playing covers. Although we do introduce a couple of our own songs, some country songs, which I've released under James Brothers. It's on streaming platforms, Ackle Island, Dance With You. We've just got a little bluesy thing out now called Judas Iscariot Blues. So what sort of tales can I tell about the James Brothers? Okay, how about this? So we used to play a lot down around Luton Parrot, and we were playing one night in the Three Pilchers down at Pub, and it's right on the harbour. You can't park there or anything. I mean, the car park is like miles away. Anyway, we were in the Three Pilchers playing, and it's a normal evening, going down well, everybody getting happy, merry, and having a great time. And the landlord of the Noughts and Crosses was in there. Now, the Noughts and Crosses is another pub in Pulborough, just across the road. So he was in there enjoying it, having a few bevies and all the rest of it. And he says, I tell you what, at the end of this gig, why don't you come over to the Noughts and Crosses, bring your girl over there, set up there, and we'll just carry on. Which is what we did. So 1 o'clock in the morning, after we finished the Three Pilchers, we got all the gear into the Noughts and Crosses and just carried on and did another gig till sun up, basically. And it was a different gig because everybody was up for it in the Three Pilchers. By the time early hours of the morning came around, everybody was pretty knackered, should we say, and sort of chilling out. And then we did some of the old sort of slow, smoothie stuff, and did a lot of free-handed and stuff. Free-handed is what we call just meet the piano and vocals, and Jim said, well, what about, do you know this one? And yeah, we'll try this. What key do we do it in? And do you fancy doing it in that? And we just had a really, really good mellow night. So that's the sort of thing that we were doing. I remember also playing in a pretty rough and ready pub in Bodmin. I forgot what it's called, White Hart, I think, where we started playing, and it got quite raucous. And so the landlord decided to get all the furniture out of the pub and move it into another room. So we were just playing into like an empty room. And I remember there was a yard of ale competition going on. And these guys were challenging themselves to drink a yard of ale. You probably know what that is, a bloody great thing. I think it contains something like 3 pints. And the idea was to drink it all down at once. Only it's a very long tube, like a big trumpety thing. It's quite hard to drink. And we did manage to get out there alive, just about. But then we also did a few gigs in Ireland. Jim's from Ireland. He's from County Mayo, and all his family are musical. You can imagine what it's like. We've been over there a few times and played. We went over for his 50th birthday, and we did a few gigs. And we were in this pub in a place called Ballymote, and everybody. It was a brand new pub that just opened that we were playing in, and everybody that's been banned in all the rest of the pubs in the area, even the fish and chip shop they're banned from, apparently, were able to get into this pub because it's brand new, just opening up, and we were the opening act playing in this pub. You can guess what? This there was riots. Okay, and I'll tell you why there was quite a big riot. We didn't play the Irish national anthem, which was a mistake. All right, now Jim, being Irish, should have said we need to do this at the end of the night, because it will finish the night off. Then once the Irish national anthem is done, that's it. Everybody knows it's the end of the night. Of course, we didn't do that, and it caused a bit of commotion, I have to say, and we were in a bit of trouble. I remember this huge Irish guy towering over me, and he goes, "You're not Catholic, are you?" I go, "No, actually, I'm a Cornish Methodist," which he had no idea which was. But I said, "No, sorry," and we had to get out of there pretty quick. Now, first thoughts were, our wives and girlfriends were there as well. First thoughts was safety. Let's get out, go. Forget the money, and let's just get the gear and go. Which is what we did basically. But the girls managed to talk with the landlord and managed to get the money first and get us paid, which is great. They came out with the money. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you, Mary, Jim's sister, for managing to get us that. We just had to make an escape. We got out to our cars, and like they were just covered in bodies. Our cars, they were on the bonnet, they were on the roof, just blokes lying all over our vehicles. Anyway, we did manage to escape there with the skin of our teeth. Yes. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in a little video showcase of the James Brothers doing some stuff, and also maybe some tracks that we've released. So that's where we are now, basically. James Brothers is still going, and we're still looking for gigs, because the COVID sort of put a real stymie on live music around here. Pubs have changed. They've changed. Where we used to play, now, where we'd be there and it would cost them some money for us to play there, obviously. Now, if we were to take up 2 or 3 tables, that can be for food. People sitting there spending money, giving them money rather than the pub spending money on us. So that's what they have to do. So live music for those sort of pubs are not on. The clubs have managed to keep going. Obviously, they've got a membership. We've still managed to maintain gigs in the clubs. But pubs have just gone right out the window, which is why I then decided a couple of years ago, well, just around the COVID time, when I first started, that I would specialise in doing music for streaming platforms. And because we weren't doing any live work, it gave me a fantastic opportunity to do what I've been wanting to do since I sat at the piano and did my own stuff in my early teens, and that is to write great music and release it. Back in those days, I mean, the idea of doing that was like, I might as well try to plan a trip to Mars, because it was impossible. I mean, in small villages in Cornwall, we're just completely wrong place. It was just impossible to do that. But now, with modern technology, I mean, it's just the world is your oysters if you're a musician. So I decided to do that, and the little niche I've fallen into is writing little neoclassical pieces, just off the cuff. Something that I've been doing ever since I can remember. Just sit at a piano, and whatever I feel, whatever that comes through me and through the piano, and me and the piano will work together, and we'll make a bit of a noise and make a bit of a piece out of it, and I record it as I go. And if it's decent enough, if it's got it's usually full of expression, because it's what I'm putting into it. It's all spontaneous. If it's any good, I'll stick it out, and which is what I've been doing with the last 4 or 5 pieces. I would imagine. They're just sort of spontaneous, me sat at the piano. One, it saves a lot of time. There's no mucking around trying to work with multi-tracks and trying to get the mixing done, and which I'm no good at. It's just playing the piano and that's it. Just took it out. Yeah, obviously get the mastering done and make sure it sounds half decent. And people seem to find it quite interesting. So that's what I've been doing. And it's working pretty good at the moment. Thanks. Thanks everybody for listening to it. It's about 340,000 streams on Spotify, something like that. It's doing doing well. A lot of building up, being parts of artist community, building up lots of relationships with lots of other musicians, not necessarily in the same genre, all different genres, but just getting together with people and with the same focus of creating your own stuff and getting it out there, promoting it in all sorts of ways. It's a hell of a learning process. I mean, I knew nothing about promotion. I knew nothing about Spotify playlists and what we're supposed to do for that. And over the last couple of years, it's been a massive learning curve. And I've enjoyed every bit of it. I mean, gigs for most of my working life it's been sort of 95% playing music and 5% business. It's turned around now. It's 95% business, trying to get it out there, and it's 5% playing, which is okay. I do miss playing, and I do find the business side of it can be quite tedious. But again, it's learning. I love learning new stuff. That is just, I wouldn't say it's as enjoyable, but it is enjoyable to do that. I said, sort of meet online some great people all around the world. This is the thing I cannot get into my head, that the whole global thing is there for you, and you are part of that as a musician. I mean, you're connecting with anybody and everybody. I mean, how fantastic is that? I mean, it is truly mind-blowing. And to be able to get your music up to a decent enough standard production-wise, to be able to put it out for people to listen to, it's not just some rough old stuff that is on a dodgy old tape somewhere that somebody's pulled out of a cupboard. I mean, this is like really listenable to. And to be able to do that with fairly minimal financial outlay, actually, to be honest with you. But I'm still working as well, in order to get money, as working in education. So it's still a side hustle, which is great, because I think the balance of that is really good. I don't think I want to do it full time. I don't think I could. I really haven't got a head for it. Spending all day for months working on music, on a track or on an album. I know bands do it for like a couple of years. No, that would do my head in. It needs to be over and done with, done out, quick turnaround. Working in education, working with people, working with youngsters who struggle academically is a fantastic. It's not an antithesis to what I'm doing. It's still communication in some sort of way, but it really it's me using my brain in a different way in order to help people. Another way to help people, So the two sort of goes together and they complement each other very well. And I think the balance between those two things is really good. They both those things allow me to do both things fairly well, I think. My work, I like to think that I am capable of helping people pretty well, and also when it comes then to do music, then I'm ready for it. I've got things in my head then. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to get it down. I'm ready to let it all out onto the piano. If I were trying to do it over a period of weeks or months, then that wouldn't happen. So there we are. That's where we are at the moment. So James Brothers. So I've talked about my life as a sort of working musician, doing gigs and things, and earning a little bit of money as a side hustle. But I've also been involved in other projects to do with music. I'm a Cornishman, and I can speak my mother tongue, Cornish language. But before that rings any alarm bells, I know there's all sorts of associations with that. I am definitely not a flag waving Cornish nationalist. It sort of has some political overtones when you say that you're a Cornish speaker. I'm a fluent Cornish speaker and also a bard of the Cornish Gorseth. But I'm a world citizen like everybody else on the planet, a collection of cells with some form of consciousness that happened to be born by happen chance in that tiny little bit of planet Earth, and we call ourselves Cornish. And generations before me have also been born and bred here, so it's just a label for identification. We have a culture and history which is unique, and we should celebrate that, but we should celebrate the diversity of every culture, language and people on the planet, and being Cornish is nothing special. It's no special to anything else at all. Anyway, having said that, I felt it was important that I should be able to speak the language of my people, if you like. There's not many people that speak it, so I had to learn it. I went to night school and learned it. And the guy that taught me was a guy called Graham Sandercock. Although apart from being a brilliant teacher, he is actually also a fantastic songwriter. Obviously writing in Cornish. And it's the strength, I think, in his songs are the lyrics. Definitely, he's so lyrical. He can use the language so beautifully to encapsulate some sort of feeling, or to set some scene, or just to invoke some imagination. And it's brilliant. And I worked with him on a couple of albums. So Graham writes the songs, and just on guitar and vocals. I'll take that away and I'll do the arrangements. And whatever the song talks to me about, is how I make that arrangement and the sort of style and genre of the song, of the arrangement, and how it should sound and things. And it is of interest. I mean, people will listen to it out of interest because we did the very first CD of all original songs in the Cornish language. So there's historical sort of interest there. I also was approached by the Cywathus Uniaeth Cernyweg, which is the Cornish Language Fellowship. And Sandercock collected together some children's songs. Some of them traditional, some were written, sort of modern day writers writing it, and also I wrote some stuff. Graham wrote some stuff, and there were some brand new things written especially for that particular album. It's an album called Planet Kerna, and I gathered together singers from all over the place, and got them into my little home studio, and made these tracks. A little booklet has come with it, with all the lyrics and everything. Some kids in Cannington Primary School, I think it was, they did some fantastic drawings to go with the songs, and that's all in the booklet as well. And so it's still available. I mean, all of this stuff is still available. It was a really interesting project to be with, and met some fantastic people. I'll tell you what, there's some real talent around. There really is. People that like us all, we just living ordinary lives, and they have this talent that is not always shining bright, and probably should do. But so we did a festival in Brittany. Me and Graham and other members joined us. It was in a little village called Brondeby. We went over every Easter for several years and did sort of Celtic festival playing there. And part of our group, if you like, was a fantastic singer called Phil Knight, probably one of the best singers in Cornwall, I have to say. And very much missed Chris James, the violinist, died in very tragic circumstances. What he could have brought to the Cornish music table with his skills and everything else as time went on after, Well, he's very missed, to put it that way. Yeah, so I've sort of dabbled in other things as well. That's probably the most interesting thing. Anyway, so James Brothers, yeah, we are looking to get gigs now. We're sort of getting back into that a little bit now. Things have sort of calmed down. So if anybody wants a duo, piano bass duo that does wax covers, like just started to get some new stuff, refreshing the set. So put some ska stuff in, that we've done. I mean, lovely two-tone stuff. I mean, that is my era. Some special, the message to you, Rudy. That sort of thing. Got some of that in, but then we tried to do some modern-ish stuff. When I say modern-ish, I mean it's middle of the road stuff. So we were like doing the stereophonics and stuff like that. It's middle of the road, rocky, poppy stuff from the last 50, 60 years, with a couple of our own country songs chucked in. So give us a bell if you wanna do it. We're very recently priced as well. We're very professional. We play for as long as you want us to play, 3-4 hours maybe, whatever. We're up for it. Take care. Thanks. Bye.